Trucker Dump for September 12th, 2012, Episode 86, Benefits of Semi-Truck Weight Compliance, a guest post by Noble McIntyre.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
G'day folks, how is everyone? Hope you're having a swell day. Todd McCann here, a busy Todd McCann. Good Lord, did I just use my name in a third-person voice? I did. Dang, I hate that. Oh well, what's done is done. I'll try not to let it happen again. Anyway, so what's keeping me so busy? Well, you'll hear that at the beginning of the podcast. Anyway, since I have been so busy, I'm grateful to have a guest blogger do a post for me. Actually, he's not a blogger at all. I'll explain that too. Well, since I'm rambling on without really saying anything, I'll get on with it. Today's guest post is by Noble McIntyre and is called Benefits of Semi-Truck Weight Compliance. Enjoy! Oh, and naturally, I put my 2 cents in. Or 4. Or 6. Oh heck, it's a dime. Hello one and all. First, a quick update on the status of the new website. Things are coming along slowly, but surely. I recently fixed a major problem I've been having, so that's good. But I'm still missing a major component, so you're going to have to control your giddiness. I'm sure you'll manage somehow. Still, I have a feeling that I'm eventually going to have to crack this sucker open to the public with a few lingering quirks. It's like choosing someone to marry. If you're waiting for perfection, you're never going to do it. The evil overlord is the exception to the rule. She really hit the jackpot there. Actually, if you're listening to this podcast now, the new website's already up, so ignore all that. So what's this about a guest post? Well, if you remember correctly, I told you in our last visit that I was working on providing you a couple of guest posts to fill the Sandra Bernhardt-sized tooth gap between the posts I've written. Oh, and by the way, you people listening to the podcast, you didn't see that because I didn't make that a podcast. Oh, jeez, I'm all out of whack here. It's a weird time warp kind of Doctor Who thing, I guess. Anyway, today's treat is brought to you by a gentleman named Noble McIntyre. Now, I'm not positive, but I think Noble may be a bit clairvoyant. A while back, I began playing with the idea of asking for submissions for a couple of guest posts to fill in the gaping hole that the blog was becoming. Not long after, I received an email from Noble asking if I accepted guest posts. I'm telling you people, clairvoyant. I'm guessing that skill comes in handy with his day job. You see, Noble is an attorney. That's got to be pretty darn handy to get into the minds of the opposing counsel. And before you say it, yes, I know it's hard to believe a lawyer was perusing my blog, but that's just further proof that I rock. I've been telling people that for years, but no one ever listens. So let's get on with today's submission. Afterward, I'll be back to share my thoughts on the subject. Here we go. And oh yeah, you ladies may want to check out Noble's picture at the bottom of the post. He's a handsome devil, he is. Hands off though, ladies. He's already been snagged off the market. Sorry to disappoint. Benefits of Semi-Truck Weight Compliance by Noble McIntyre. It's human nature to want the most benefit for the lowest cost. It may seem more efficient to load a semi-truck to maximum capacity, or more, in order to transport more merchandise in fewer trips. That works in theory, but not always in practice. I've taken on semi-truck cases that came about when someone was injured due to some sort of negligence on the part of a truck driver or a trucking company, like, for example, overloading a truck. And accidents involving a semi have the potential to do much more damage when the truck is heavier than is legally allowed. Surpassing truck weight limits can also cost more in fees and fines when trucks don't pass inspection at highway weigh stations. But additional costs in fuel, maintenance, and safety must be considered as well. Here are a few of the ways ignoring trucking weight limits can increase costs and affect the safety of not just the drivers, but passenger vehicle drivers. Road fatigue. Highways are built to withstand a lot of wear. Vehicles driving over them, harsh weather, heat, and cold. They're also constructed with certain weight limits in mind. When those limits are surpassed, the road suffers and begins to wear down more quickly than planned. This not only makes for uncomfortable driving, it increases road maintenance costs for states the highways run through, and these costs are passed on to the taxpayers. There's a link in the show notes for a cool PDF on road maintenance if you're interested in that sort of thing. By complying with weight limits, truckers and trucking companies can help roads last longer and reduce maintenance costs, thereby saving states money that can be put toward other public needs. Wasted fuel and time. It comes down to simple power to weight ratio. The heavier a truck is, the more power required to propel it. When a truck is loaded over its maximum weight, it'll require more fuel to travel the same distance at the same speeds as a lighter truck. In addition to wasting fuel, this will also translate to higher costs for the trucking company because of the need to buy fuel more often. It also means lost time to stop for those fueling needs. These costs are most likely passed on to the consumer. By adhering to weight limits, truckers can save time and money both for the trucking company and for the people who buy the products being transported. For those of us concerned about the effect high food costs have on our communities, it's frustrating to know that some of these costs could be more reasonable if weight limit regulations were strictly followed. Safety. When loaded to maximum weight, the stopping distance for semi-trucks is roughly 40% greater than that of regular passenger vehicles. You'll find a link to another PDF about truck braking in the show notes. This is assuming fair weather and road conditions. That distance will increase when roads are wet, for example, or when the truck is traveling above the speed limit. Now imagine how the stopping distance is affected when a truck is carrying more than the allowed maximum weight. Even in good weather, the distance is increased, not to mention a heavier truck will do more damage to other vehicles and to property should an accident occur. Weight compliance promotes safety for the truck, its driver, and other drivers on the road. I'd be more than happy to accept a reduction in the number of clients I have if it meant fewer people were being injured in trucking accidents due to poor practices. The trucking industry remains the most effective tool in transporting goods from one location to another. There's plenty of room for improvement, to be sure. But until technological and mechanical advances come about that improve efficiency, current safety standards must be maintained. The benefits simply outweigh the costs. Noble McIntyre is the senior partner and owner of McIntyre Law, a firm staffed by experienced Oklahoma City truck accident lawyers. There's a link in the show notes to his website. Well, that's good stuff, Noble. Thanks for entertaining and informing the peeps. Now, from a trucker's view, let me add a few thoughts of my own. For quite a while now, my company has been sending out a satellite message about once a week reminding us to route around the Pawtucket River Bridge on I-95 in Rhode Island. It seems that about once a week, one of my highly intelligent coworkers gets a ticket for crossing the bridge. You know, the bridge that's been marked as truck restricted since 2007. The one marked by those bright orange signs that are really hard to see. Yeah, those. I just don't get it. If a bridge is clearly marked as illegal, why would anyone cross it? Why not take the marked route? It's not that far out of the way, yet the coppers in Rhode Island have been picking truckers' pockets clean for years. These fines aren't cheap either. We're talking maximums of $2,000 plus. Ouch-a-mundo. But there are times when things aren't quite so clear-cut. Now, there isn't a trucker out there who hasn't come across a situation that can't be avoided. Sometimes by the time you see the weight restriction signs on the bridge, you're already crossing it. Oops. But hey, when you looked at the Trucker's Atlas during your pre-trip planning, the road was clearly marked in orange. For you non-truckers, roads highlighted in orange are supposed to be open to trucks. Most of the time, they're right. But some of the time, they neglect to mention that it's okay to run the road, providing you're under the weight limit. That would be the weight limit that isn't posted anywhere in the Atlas. Other times, you find yourself stuck between an FMCSA rule maker's head and a hard place. There you sit, staring at a weight-restricted bridge in the dead of night. You followed your company's directions to the letter, yet there you are. You've got no place to turn around. What now? Well, I wrote about this exact scenario in a blog post called Trucking in the Northeast. There's a link in the show notes to it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I find that prayer helps. But what about running with an overweight load? Truck drivers do it all the time. But why do we do it? Because our dispatcher says to do it? Sorry, dudes and dudettes, but that crap ain't gonna fly here. Drivers, you gotta think about this. It's your license. It's your ticket. It's your money that's going to pay the fine. It's not a point of pride to say, I can find my way around any scale. Okay, great. What good does it do? It takes more fuel to go around the scales. The back roads always take longer too. So why do we do it? Yeah, it's a pain to take the load back to the shipper for reloading. Yes, it's annoying to stop 5 times to fuel in a 600-mile trip just to keep your load legal. But notice I kept saying we truckers. Yes, at Driver Chris MC, I just called myself a trucker again. Mark it on the calendar. The thing is, I've done all this myself. I routed around all the way stations once a long time ago. I found it stressful and never did it again. Sort of. What I will still do is route around one scale if I know I can burn off enough fuel before I get to the rest of the chicken coops. That's a way station. Little trucker speak there. But why even do that? Well, I know why I do it. Because the places where I load, you either take that load or you sit and idle your truck until you burn off enough fuel to run the load. I've asked the company to cut the load. They won't. I've asked a deadhead to get another load. Nothing else in the area. And that's not hard to believe when you're in the wasteland known as North Dakota. And this is why I never fill my fuel tanks anymore. 3/4 max for me. Even less if I'm anywhere in the vicinity of one of our 46,350-pound sugar loads. I guess if you're an owner-operator, I can maybe see the point of dodging all the scales on an entire trip. Maybe it was take the load or you don't get paid. That's your choice, I guess. Just remember that not only are we all breaking the law, but we're also defying every reason that Noble just laid out. And shame on us all for dissing the Noble. Well, I didn't get any comments about helping Lou and Heather out with the rough spot. I hope that means you went and helped instead of writing me. Thanks to everyone who did. Well, thanks again to Noble. If you've got questions or comments for him, or you need a good lawyer for something naughty you did in Oklahoma, check out his website. Or you can leave your comments on the blog by going to abouttruckdriving.com and searching for TD086. I can be reached through email at truckerdump@gmail.com, and twitter.com/Todd McCann is my home on Twitter if you're one of the people who gets Twitter. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. As always, I appreciate you spending the time listening to the show. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way.